Welcome to Unaccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for product news, updates, and education. I am your prim and proper host, Tyler Otto, and I'm joined by the intentionally inappropriate Jeremy Van Grohl. How are you today?
Oh, I am good and a little stressed. A lot of things going on right now and completely guilty of the intentionally inappropriate. 100%.
You know, that's why we love you, though. There's a yin to a yang in our relationship. And Jeremy, might I add, you're not that bad. It's just, you know, one of us when we're on microphone is afraid of getting deposed one day and one of us is not.
Yes.
Well, Jeremy, this is a chock full week and we're recording on a Friday because there's just so much we have to catch up on. Dare you start us off?
Yeah, let's start with some India news. We got a bunch of articles here and some super fun things scheduled for the end and a pretty good guest coming on as well. First news article, one of the big four just did a pretty significant layoff. Which one of those four do you think that is, Mr. Otto?
I'm going to go with Deloitte.
No, not correct. PwC laid off 1,800 employees on the U.S. side. Yeah, that was kind of here's where I get a little confused with this. So many firms are saying it's hard to attract and retain accounting talent. And then you see these big four layoffs where they have thousands of people getting laid off. And I'm like, how is that possible? And I know like, hey, we're going to bring AI into all the things and whatnot. And even the article I looked at, they're like going to hire 20,000 more employees in PwC India or something. I struggle with this dichotomy of like, labor's not there. Here's a whole bunch of layoffs.
I mean, isn't that also like what Intuit did of like, hey, we're growing, we're hiring, we need all these experts. By the way, we're laying off 1,600 people, but don't worry, we'll bring them back in India one day.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I guess you can just do a lot of that back behind the scenes work in other countries and go from there. I don't like it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to our next topic here. NASBA put out a recommendation to at least loosen one of the requirements it has to sit for the CPA exam. Any clue what that one might be?
I mean, with how much discontent there's been, please say it's the 150-hour rule.
You are correct. Yes, the 150-hour rule. So it's now saying that it will look at worker experience for people who have bachelor's degrees to give them those additional previously required hours to be eligible to sit for the CPA exam. What I thought was interesting here, and I'm just going to read through these really quickly, is the requirements meet 7 professional competencies: ethical behavior, critical thinking, and professional skepticism, communication, collaboration, teamwork and leadership, self-management and continuous learning, business acumen, and technology mindset. That one surprised me. The rest of them I could get.
I'm happy to see technology mindset now is in there because, like, our profession, you got to be a borderline data analyst, like understanding how the tables connect on the back end of all these systems, what can talk to each other, how to utilize the tools. I'm happy to hear about you. Like, this can't come soon enough. Jeremy, I don't know if you know this, but I've been paying a CPA to review my work just so I can get the hours requirement to one day maybe sit for my CPA. So if I don't have to do a couple extra classes that I'm short, this would be wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. And you also need to have 3 technical competencies, which I think you have 2 of the 3 already and working on the last one. I have no competencies. But tax, business and financial reporting, and audit and assurance. And I studied for the CPA exam. I never took it. Maybe because I was scared or wimpy or whatever it was. But I can never, like, not having spent time in the field as an accountant, the audit and assurance one was just so hard for me because I had not had real world experience. And I think that's what I struggled with. And now I think I would go out there and knock that one out. Still not doing it.
I mean, once you've been audited enough times, especially in the corporate world where you had the auditors come in and realize like they don't even understand what they're doing. Oh, this is easy. I mean, I'm not going to say the CPA exam is easy. I've never taken it. I know it's a beast for even the smartest of people, but I'm not scared. Bring it on. Jeremy, also in the news this week, I got 2 articles for you, man. We're hitting it hard. Ooh. First up, Syft Analytics out of Australia, like a player in the reporting game that we're familiar with, just got acquired by what general ledger company?
Oof, I can't imagine Intuit went there. They'd want to do that. I hear Wave's doing things. Wave.
Sorry, Jeremy. It is Xero. And I thought this is interesting because, I mean, we had Scotty Scarano on.
Yeah.
Who's, you know, an evangelist of Xero. I've talked to several of their reps, but their thing was always like, hey, we're not trying to get in everyone else's lane. Yes, we have HubDoc, but beyond that, we want to partner with other softwares. We're going to crush what we do best. Well, they just bought a pretty beefy reporting software. Does this change the tide? Are they going after the Intuit model now of acquire something, kill it, and try and fold it in to their offering? I'm not sure exactly what this is going to look like, but it does show me that Xero is not just going to happily stand by as number 2. They're trying to make moves to gain some market capture.
Yeah, and I should have thought of that because Xero's from Australia or New Zealand or something right in that area, right, originally, or they're owned there. I think you missed a step, though. They're going to acquire it. They're going to kill it. They're going to ruin it. And then they're going to install it into their software.
Well, that's only if they adopt the QuickBooks model. So we don't know yet. Jeremy, last question. What GL just announced that they are rolling out a multi-entity platform, ERP, to compete with some of the other big boys we know and love like NetSuite and Sage?
Oh, I think I saw this one. This is QuickBooks, Intuit. Yeah.
Yes. Intuit is teasing that they are rolling out a new ERP platform built for the mid-market. So they're no longer the small market. They're going after what they title the mid-market, but they aren't actually telling us yet what this offering is. They're excited to announce it. You can sign up for a webinar on October 16th to get 1.5 hours of CPE, or on October 10th for a showcase, but they're not actually telling us cost or what they've improved. And I'm not even going to go insanely into detail on this because Blake Oliver and David Leary already went on this on their episode on September 19th. Like, they went through this and there's so much speculation, but like, I really think it's not like they built a brand new platform. It's got to be just QuickBooks Online with like a couple tweaks that like, here's how we jerry-rigged it that you can do multi-entity now. It's not a true, I would guess it's not going to be true multi-entity, but they're not telling us price. They're not giving us any details. They're just saying, hey, we got something coming.
I kind of get that same feeling. And just looking at it, I feel like they're going to add another layer of segmenting data. You have locations, you have classes, you have projects, you can do all those things. I feel like they're going to add in one other grander layer to be like, oh, if you have divisions, then divisions have locations and whatever. Yep. And they're going to tout this as like the best thing since sliced bread. But again, we don't know until it happens.
I mean, my bet would be, we have a couple new dimensions, like you said, classes or whatnot. And like by user permissions, you can segment entire charts of accounts or divisions to certain people. And then like, you got to be able to lock down the balance sheet somehow. Because that's the whole problem with classes is it doesn't flow through perfectly to the balance sheet. Right. They would have to be able to like lock down like this bank account, this side of its transaction can only live in this company. Like, I think it's going to be just one or two new dimensions that it has a lot more restrictions, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, another episode with people willing to lower their standards to come to our level. And I'm kind of pumped this week because we get to bring in one of our accounting besties, one of the gurus who the first time I interacted with her, I insulted her. I'm pretty sure that's all you do on a weekly basis when we message with her. But Jeremy, welcome to the show. Kirstin Reeder of purpletaxes.com, Purple Taxes Business Sapphire Solutions. Kirstin, tell us who you are.
I am Purple Sapphire Business Solutions.
My bad.
Yeah, purpletaxes.com. So everybody thinks that it's Purple Taxes is the name of my business, but it's not. But yeah, I'm Kirstin Reeder, and you absolutely insulted me, and it's all whatever. It's all forgiven. That's okay.
All I said was the association with you were with, y'all seemed a little bit money grabby. Yeah. It was just candid feedback. But look at this. Look how friendships or maybe just professional nemesis grow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, look how far we've came. And honestly, it was just this week that I realized that purple sapphires are a real thing and you just weren't making crap up. I just assumed you were making crap up. And then they're like, no, that's a real thing.
That is a real thing. They're rarer than blue sapphires.
Okay.
So there you go.
Interesting. So unfortunately, people listening to Unaccountable, you have learned something today. You did not think you would ever tune in here and learn something, but there you go. Yeah. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kirstin, we're excited to bring you in here. Kirstin, for those of you that don't know, like we all run in the similar circles. As you get deeper and deeper into this community, you get forced friends that do the same thing you do. Jeremy and I regularly consult Kirstin or console. Not sure which word it is, but yes. We are excited to bring you in and run you through a gauntlet of questions today. Now, unlike some guests that are only here for just fast figures, we're going to run you through a couple games. And first off, you and Jeremy get to play as a team through a game I like to call Unaccountable Goes Accountable.
Oh dear.
We are going to ask you two about some of the nuances that come with accountable plans within bookkeeping and accounting space.
Okay.
You already look scared.
Can I just say how happy I am that I have somebody that I surely knows more about this than I do on my team? I appreciate this.
That's a low bar, Jeremy.
Well, and I actually feel sorry for Jeremy because I am not a good teammate. And there have been games that we've played before where I've like helped the other team. So I'm glad we don't have anybody that we're playing against this time, Jeremy.
Just our pride.
Yeah, just our pride.
All right, let's do
All
it.
right. Well, let's jump into it. Let's talk accountable plans. So for those of you that want to get nerdy and look any of this up, go to publication 463, the IRS. This is where they talk about all of it. But first, before we get into actual accountable plans, this question asks, businesses filing as sole proprietors are allowed to deduct their home office expenses by using one of what two methods? A, actual and estimated. B, actual and simple. C, simple and estimated. Or D, actual and mileage.
I kind of like simple and actual here, but
Yeah.
gonna go with that. All right, let's go with that.
Yeah. Simplified and actual.
Well done, team. Yes, simple and actual. And for those of you at home that aren't aware, you have two methods. The simple, much like we had last week on auto mileage, the simple for home office is you get $5 a square foot. There you go. Easy. Done. Not a lot of work. Actuals, we start looking at what percentage of your house does that office occupy. Then we take that percentage and apply it against like mortgage interest and utilities and maintenance and cleaning fees and whatever else Jeremy is doing. Depreciation. We got a whole bunch of stuff we can do. And there's a lot more math that goes into it. Now, Jeremy and I last week advocated most of the time we just always do the simple method or mileage for vehicles, but we're going to get deeper into it because actuals has its place here. So next question, true or false, S-Corp owners are allowed to take the home office deduction?
False.
I feel like this is false too, or my tax preparer would have let me know.
Correct. Yes. Hence why we have accountable plans. Because the home office deduction comes on your 1040, your personal tax returns through your Schedule C, but you're not allowed to do that because you're getting a K-1. So therefore, you have to have an accountable plan. Kirstin, dare I put you on the spot and try and give us the definition of what an accountable plan essentially is?
So when I describe it to clients, this isn't like the official IRS definition, but when I'm explaining it to clients, which I did just yesterday, it's essentially a plan for an expense report. It's very similar to like if you worked for Home Depot and you had expenses that you incurred personally, but you needed to be reimbursed, you have to turn in a form to Home Depot and get reimbursed for it. And so that is what you have to do in your own business.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, the definition that we were able to pull, it's succinct, is an accountable plan is a document created by a business that outlines a company's policies on reimbursing business expenses to the employees. Perfect. You nailed it. So we're going to go into this a little deeper in detail after I ask you a few more because I don't want to give away the answers. Question 3, which of the following is not a requirement for an accountable plan? So A, it has to have a business connection. B, it has to have substantiation. C, it has to be thrifty in nature. Or D, you have to return excess amounts. Which of those is not a requirement?
C.
Ooh, I was thinking C. I'll go with that.
Well done. It does not have to be thrifty in nature, but first off, it has to have a business connection. So it has to be a real business expense. You're not getting, reimbursed for Jeremy waxing his dome. I don't care how professional you're a manicurist or whatever you call that lady that buffs your head, but yeah.
I will be reaching out to my local politician to get a bill to change that. I feel like having this kind of look is definitely a tax deduction. I'm sorry.
Second off, it has to have substantiation, where this is where all of us cringe because half our clients will never get us the backup and documentation. I mean, Kirstin, what would be substantiation? Just simply.
Well, it depends on the type of expense. So if it's a travel expense, you need to provide where you went, the dates that you went, et cetera, et cetera. If it is a meal that was just a meal, not associated with travel, a receipt showing that. If it is home office, we need to know how big your home office is, how big your house is overall, all those expenses, things like that.
No, that's perfect. And that's where a lot of our clients are like, well, I don't want to do that.
Right.
I just want to take the expense. And lastly, D, we have to return the excess amounts. And this is where also clients get in trouble because you can have an accountable plan that reimburses yourself for your cell phone or whatever else. But technically, you're supposed to then prove that your cell phone bill totaled up to that amount. And if you didn't have substantiation for the full amount, within 60 days of the end of the period, you're supposed to be reimbursing that back to the company, which I know is where a lot of people get in trouble because they're like, oh, I'll just take a little extra.
Mm-hmm.
Question 4. An accountable plan must be applied A, equally to all employees, B, only to executives, C, can be applied differently to different employees, or D, only to non-management staff.
I feel like this has to be universal. I like A here.
Same here. Same here.
Okay. Final answer.
Oh!
This is the beauty of it, is it can be applied differently to different employees.
Interesting. Okay.
This is the Wild Wild West. Yep. Just, we need Will Smith right here doing Wild Wild West. Thank you, Ian. So this can be applied differently to employees, which I haven't taken advantage of this, but you could actually reimburse your entirely remote staff for their office space at home if you do a calculation worksheet. And you can offer this to only some employees. So let's say, for example, you wanted to give an employee a raise, but you didn't want to have to pay payroll taxes. You could maybe figure out if there's an amount you can reimburse them for their home office. And now you're not paying any payroll taxes on that amount. Now, don't go crazy because it needs to be justifiable, either $5 a square foot, or you need to get their entire rent and utilities and build out the spreadsheet and reimburse them proportionately. But this is an easy win if you're looking for a small 4% raise to give an employee that they're going to get going forward. Just make sure you got to get the documents to back this up, and it could become an administrative nightmare. So be careful on what you do actually reimburse.
So if I have employees in Utah and we know everybody in Utah is kind of a pain in the ass, I could have a lesser reimbursement plan for them based on their location versus other ones. I feel like you got to be careful with how you'd segment it. You'd have to have a good reason, or the IRS is going to be like, really?
There's no requirements on universal. It can be per employment contract. But why would you do that to us here in Utah? We've got multiple wives and lots of kids. We need the extra funds, Jeremy.
That's true. Good call.
All right. Question 5. What happens if an expense reimbursement doesn't meet the accountable plan requirements that we mentioned above? Is it A, it's treated as taxable wages, B, the company gets fined, C, the employee must repay the amount, or D, nothing. It's still tax-free.
I'm going with A.
I would have went A or C. I wish there was like A or C option here, but I'm going to go with A too. Yeah.
Luckily, Kirstin's your team leader. A is correct. It's treated as taxable wages, but there will also then become fines and penalties for late taxes on top of that. You don't want to get into it. Just make sure you do it right. 2 more questions for you. If I want to deduct 100% of my cell phone for my business, I must have a dedicated home phone line.
Ooh,
yeah.
Must makes me think false.
Right. Yeah. False.
Ooh.
You must show, if this is your only phone, you cannot deduct 100% of it because they know it's part personal. You cannot take all of it. If you have a $10 dinky home phone line through Xfinity or Comcast or whoever, that qualifies as your home phone. And now this can be all business, baby.
I was totally thinking landline when you were saying home phone line. I was like, a landline is not a requirement for this, but a second line, yes. Yes.
A dedicated separate phone that is not used in any way.
Right.
So 2 phones, that's what you have to have. But it could be a dinky little landline with no voicemail, nothing. That could qualify.
Ooh, this is good to know. I like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
See, we're learning things today.
Yeah.
Last question. A business owner with a physical place of business can also have a home office deduction or reimbursement. True or false?
I feel true.
It
here.
depends.
Ooh.
We'll give you that. Kirstin, care to explain?
In order to have a home office, and I hope I'm right on this, because you have to perform either administrative tasks that you can't really do, or like has to be regular at home. It's not like, oh, hey, I'm gonna pay my bills for the business from home, and that counts as my administrative task. Like it has to be kind of do some tasks. Or you need to be able to you need to see your clients or actually do work at home type of stuff too.
Yep. The perfect example. So this comes after the Tax Relief Act of 1997, where the principal place of business was refined to include a home office used for administrative purposes. But imagine you have a dentist that he has an office where he sees people, but literally it's just 2 chairs. There's no other space there, plus the receptionist desk. He can then go home and do his books, his advertising, whatnot as his home office because he does not have a space there to do it. It's regularly and exclusively used for the administrative work. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. But you have to prove that, and it can't be, he sometimes does bookkeeping at the office and sometimes at home. That needs to be his office for all the administrators.
Exactly.
Interesting.
5 out of 7, you guys. I am rather proud of you two. Well done. And with that, it's halftime. This is the wonderful part of the show where we head to the sidelines and get a nice little bite out of a snack. And Kirstin, you brought along one of your favorite toys to talk to us about today.
I did. Drake Tax.
So what do you use Drake for? Tell me how it fits in your firm.
Yeah, I use Drake Tax for tax preparation and somewhat tax planning because it's got a different mode, if you will, that you can run different scenarios through and see how will this affect the bottom line. So yeah, we pretty much during tax season, we live in Drake. Everything's Drake.
So, but here's the thing, Kirstin. It is a desktop-based system in an industry that's going more and more cloud-based. And it looks and feels like it was built in 1987.
Oh, correct. 100%. Yes.
So why are we advocating it on this podcast where we're a little bit more tech forward?
Well, it is a desktop-based application. I host it on a remote server. So it's kind of like desktop in the sky is what I try to describe it as to my team. And we're all able to log in and use Drake from there. It looks like it is straight out of 1987, but it works. It's cost efficient. They have a pay per user plan that is a good price. So if you're just getting started, you don't have tons and tons of clients, it's a great option.
And you mean pay per tax return, right?
Pay per return.
Not user at your firm, but per tax return. Like you've got the per user fee on your desktop in the sky, but not on Drake.
Sorry if I said the wrong thing. Yeah, it's pay per return, and there's a pay per user fee for the desktop thing, but for Drake itself, it's just that. And one of the reasons why I started using them is, at least at the time, and I'm assuming it's still the same, is if you have multiple years in the past that you need to file returns for, you can go back however far you need to. Like I've got 2012 on there. That's what I needed to do at the beginning. I had someone who needed 6 years of tax returns filed. And so Drake was pretty much my only option because I didn't have to buy all of those prior years.
Dare I chime in here and say that I also use Drake for my taxes, and there's a part of me where it is far from the sexiest looking platform, but it works reliably, and it catches more things than you ever even want, and it helps you identify every error. And have you worked with their customer support? I've never waited on hold. You send it in, and it's like every person you talk to is a friggin' tax genius. Like I have never had a rep that can't just be like, oh, do this. We know our software so well. Like we're on it for you. So at that point, it's like, I wouldn't switch to a sexy new software because I have not seen another company with that great of customer service.
And I don't want to belabor this point, and we know I'm not the tax guy here, but I early in my career working with nonprofits, before I got smarter, I did some 990 work using Drake itself. And I agree with you guys. Like I could not believe when I went into the software how it looks and feels and everything there. Like, I'm like, this is a modern technology where I am doing tax preparation with. But I will say, yes, like it calls out all the errors because I was really like, I'm reading forms because I'd never done this before and filling in amounts. And it was super slick in the way it did that. But I can't imagine with its current setup right now, and I believe both you guys are tax dome people. There's no talking between those two though, right? Like you have people. Whoa, I could be wrong. Let's hear it.
Yes, you can print to the TaxDome printer, if you will. There's like a TaxDome app, desktop app, and it's essentially a document manager thing. So you can print directly from Drake to the TaxDome printer. It's not necessarily an integration exactly, but
it's pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, in Drake, you go, you're going to print it, and you just say print PDF to TaxDome, select which client, and it's there in TaxDome in their portal. It's brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's TaxDome figuring that out, though, not Drake.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
But you know what? Do we care who hosts the connection?
No.
We don't, as long as they make it simple on us. So Drake, for everyone playing along at home, you can buy the everything all in for $2,300 a year, which if you're doing enough tax returns, that is a cheap price.
It is.
But if you want pay per return, $350, that gets you 10 returns, and then you're paying an additional $40 for every personal return after that, or $60 for a business, which again, that's easy to swallow. It's not hard to absorb that cost into your client billing. So if you're just getting started, it's an easy pay to play sort of game. Absolutely recommend it.
And even I know people who've been using Drake for 20 years. So it's not just an entry level tax software. Like if you're just getting started, I have no reason to switch. I could probably, but I have no reason to. I mean, it does what I need it to do.
And there's something to be said for that.
All right. It is now time to go off the rails just a little bit and to segment this appropriately. When you said it's not hard to swallow or something, I was holding back that's what she said, but we'll get to that. So I put together the game. There's a radio show around here that does something very similar to this. And of course, got to put accounting spin on that. But I have some titles here or names of things that have either money or accounting connections to it.
Oh dear.
And I would like you to tell me what category they are in between a rock band, a racehorse, or an erotic film.
Oh my God.
And Kirstin is the perfect one to have for this.
Oh,
okay.
Dear.
Rock band, racehorse, or erotic film?
Correct. And just so before you guys get to this, because you'll think of this, I did not prepare this as a sorry excuse to give my wife a reason when she went through my browser history or anything like that. I promise. It was not my motivation here.
Are Tyler and I on a team together?
On a team together. These should be relatively fast, so I got about 15 of them. And so it's rock band, racehorse, erotic film. First one, Cash Box Kings. I love this already. If you are not watching this YouTube one, you're going to want to stop it. Come and put the YouTube on now so you can see facial expressions, because this is fantastic.
Kirstin, I'm leaning rock band.
That's kind of what I'm leaning to.
All right. You're starting out of the gate well. Right. That is a rock band. All right. Let's go to the next one. Pay the Man.
I'm going racehorse.
I agree.
Oh, 2 for 2. Racehorse.
We'll take it.
All right. Number 3. Bookkeeper's Secret.
Racehorse. That sounds like a racehorse.
I think you're just going straight down the list. I think you're going erotic film, but we'll go with Kirstin's racehorse.
Oh, should have gone with the host on that one. That's erotic film.
Really?
The Bookkeeper's Secret.
Oh my gosh. That's one of our Bookkeepers Gone Wild retreats.
Hey, I'm told we don't talk about that. All right, we'll never happen. Moving on. Next one, Money Talks.
I'm gonna go racehorse. I think.
Yeah.
Racehorse. Good call. Now, in a little bit of carryover from last week, Penny Pincher.
Rock band?
Oh, I was going to go erotic film, but I don't know. We'll go with Tyler.
Both wrong. That is a racehorse. Okay. All right, next one in Pennywise.
That is a rock band. I've seen them at the band's Warped Tour. Don't even.
Yep. Oh, yep. Absolutely right. All right. The next one, Money Shot.
Because I don't want an audio clip out there of me saying anything otherwise. I want to guess racehorse.
Sure. Sounds good.
Nope. That one should have went with the gut. That was the erotic film.
Oh, dear.
I'm okay that there is no audio clip of me out there.
Ooh, we'll get you there yet. That's what she said. Anyway, all right, let's go on. Dire Straits.
Oh, rock band.
That's rock band.
Rock band, yeah. Things are in dire straits. Count the Cash.
Racehorse.
Let's do that.
This one I'm going with erotic film, but there's a hitch. So this was actually the Pornhub story called Count the Cash. So I feel like that
You
could
act
fall
like
into
we
that
know what
realm.
you're talking about.
I didn't know this either.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
But yes, that one I'm going, even though it's a documentary about a empire online that does
okay.
saucy material. Count the Cash, yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. A few more to go. Wall Street Wonder.
Oh.
I like racehorse.
Or a very interesting erotic film.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be. All right. It was the racehorse, right?
Okay.
And let's pause for a second, bring some accounting knowledge in, right? Because we like to learn things. So, all right, let's pretend another question, bonus points. You're purchasing a horse for your business. Is that an expense or a fixed asset?
Well, what's our business?
Right.
I mean, if you're making dog food, then maybe it's cost of sales expense.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
If
Good call.
you know, if you're a racing team, it's probably a fixed asset.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm giving you full marks for all of that. Yep. Thinking about as a race horse, right? It is a fixed asset, and
Are we making glue?
Are we making glue? Right. How long would you? And there's a lot of. I've actually read through this IRS law. There's a lot of stipulations, but generally, what is the useful life of a racehorse purchase?
Oh.
I think I actually know this because one of my employees, their family on the side does roping, and so they have horses.
Ooh.
I think it's 7 years.
I think that is one of the options. I had 3 in here, but there is a less likely one at 7 years. But yes, if they, and it's weird because this one is 3 is the typical one they see because racehorses don't get put into service until typically 1 or 2 years, and then they have a 3-year useful life. Which again, just sounds like I feel like PETA might cancel us if we're talking like right away unsubscribe if we talk about the useful life of a racehorse.
Yeah.
Ugh, not so good.
Joke's on you, Jeremy. No one's subscribing.
That's right. Hey, man, I'm fired. Whatever. Kirstin could take over. The one last one on racehorses. So the racehorse wins the race and gets a purse for that. Typically, that gets split between the owner, the trainer, and the jockey. Care to venture any guesses? What is a typical split of the racehorse's winning purse?
Oh.
I'm just going to go thirds. Let's do easy math.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
See, that not my original thought either. I would have gotten closer, I think, than you guys did. 80% to the owner and 10 to the jockey and 10 to the trainer.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah. Owner takes it over. All right.
That makes sense.
Let's get back on the shenanigans. Just a few more at you. Risky returns.
Oh,
Please say
erotic
that's a
film.
horse. Go with Kirstin.
Kirstin's correct.
That risky word is, I was like, yeah.
Returns. Dollar signs.
Kirstin, that's all you.
I'm going racehorse.
Again, should have went with the host. Rock band.
damn.
Dollar signs.
2 more.
2 more. Taxing temptation.
Oh, erotic film.
Yes.
You act like you have these on VHS in your office behind you, Kirstin, with how quickly you're like, yeah.
There's like
The music score on that one was awesome.
the code words in these names. I'm like, oh yeah.
So being the technological, not apparently talking, but technologically savant podcast that we are, I then went to AI and said, what would be some creative names for an accounting related erotic film? And got some good ones. So here's just a couple of them. And again, they're all clean. You guys act like I'm off.
No, I just think back to a conversation we had with David Leary where he was like, you guys like actually do research for your podcast and whatnot, you know?
I did. I'm doing that right now, Tyler. Come on.
This is the research.
All right, fine. It is. Damn it. All right. So here's some of the ones that I liked. However, listeners, go on our Facebook group. If you have better ones, I would love to hear yours.
There is more accounting advice later in the show.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Double entry desires.
Oh my gosh.
Calculated pleasures. The audit's allure. Spreadsheet seduction.
Oh my God.
And maybe my favorite, assets and balance. All right. 2 more quips, then I'll get back on the rails. I promise. But in side things I saw from this is, did you know there is a different accounting podcast called the Spicy Accountant Podcast?
No.
Whose premise is we cover everything from investing and taxes to how we shoot and edit our own amateur erotic films. And I was like,
What?
wow,
Wait.
that's an interesting combination there. I didn't listen to it, but I went to the link twice, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to make sure I read that right.
So they cover accounting stuff and how to shoot your own erotic films?
I mean, accounting is important in every single industry, Kirstin. So I mean, there's some things there. All right. Last thing, and I promise we'll get back on the rails. The other thing I saw when just kind of trying to pull some misinformation together, hashtag I'm an accountant has been used in a lot of TikTok videos for especially people during the pandemic who were people who had OnlyFans pages. And the reason why was because no one would ever ask any follow-up questions when they asked what they did. So like, what do? You're really an OnlyFans person. They would say they're an accountant. Conversation over, no follow-up questions. So that was like the key there. You're supposed to say it, I'm accountant if you have other things. Man, that's disappointing.
And then for those of us who really are accountants, what?
You never know.
You never know. You never know.
All right. Thanks for being good sports, guys.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
Kirstin, you're no noob to this game. You know exactly what's coming at you.
I do, and I'm scared.
Yeah, let's put 1 minute on the clock, and let's see how you do. Here we go. Meal expenses during travel are deductible at what percentage?
50%.
How many concourses does the Denver airport have?
3.
If you are traveling to shop for real estate deals, which you never actually close on one of the deals, you're just shopping, what percentage of the travel is deductible?
100%.
How many time zones does the United States have?
I'm going to say 6.
According to limited research by Tyler, how long is the longest direct flight in the world?
12 hours.
Give me any dollar amount within the range of the current per diem meal rate that you can reimburse yourself for an entire day of travel meals.
$56.
As of October 1st, 2024, global entry fees will be going up from $100 to $120. However, the fee for kids will be reduced to what number within $20?
$100. I don't know.
How many gondoliers pilot a traditional Venetian gondola?
1.
You can write off what percentage of your spouse's travel for a business trip. Clarifier, that spouse has no relation or work in the business.
0.
If I plan a trip to Colorado where I travel on Thursday, meet the client on Friday, hang out with the family on Saturday and Sunday, then meet with a different client on Monday, and travel home on Tuesday, how many days of meals can I write off?
4 and 5.5.
How are you feeling? It's not the worst I've ever seen.
Oh, that's not the worst you've ever seen. Okay.
Jeremy's done far worse.
Oh, 100%.
If you couldn't tell, we wanted to lean very heavily into your background in the travel and tourism industry.
Yeah.
So let's dive in and see how you did.
Okay.
First up, meal expenses during travel are deductible at what percentage? You said 50%. Well done. That is the correct answer. In fact, for those of you that aren't aware, there is the 50% or 100% per meals. We have a nice little infographic on our front page on unaccountable.co, all the way back from episode 8. Go check it out. But Kirstin, is this one of the biggest spots where clients like just seem surprised every year when you're doing their taxes that they don't get all that money written off?
No, actually, they don't. Of course, they also don't pay much. They don't pay much attention. I will say that I did have a question this last week about someone who said, "What are these non-deductible expenses on my K1?" And it literally said non-deductible expenses, meals. And so I did have to explain there, but usually they don't even pay attention. I don't know.
Dear listener, I wrote this question because I knew of that story, and she still said no, clients aren't confused.
But he's the only one. He's the only one.
Got it. My bad.
Yeah.
Question 2, how many concourses does the Denver airport have? You said 3, which, well done, A, B, and C. I want to ask, just because we're talking about the travel industry, but which airport is your least and most favorite?
Least Miami. 100%
Ooh, okay.
least Miami. Oh, so terrible. Most favorite. I'm gonna say I do enjoy the Nashville airport. That's a pretty fun one.
What about Vegas?
And why?
Yeah, Nashville one. I just like Nashville. Also, you can walk around with your cocktails from the bar. You can just walk around with them. Vegas is pretty fun too.
I think Nashville's good too, because just like everywhere else in Nashville, there's like live music playing in the places in the airport, and sometimes just like hanging out in a corner in the airport with some guy with a guitar. It's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in Nashville right away.
Yep. Next question. If you are traveling to shop for real estate deals, which you never actually close on them, what percentage of that travel is deductible? You said 100%. It's actually 0.
That's what I was afraid of.
Unless you consummate the deal, you aren't allowed to write it off. And so, so often we get clients that think they're super smart and they're like, well, I'm just going to, go on a vacation to Bermuda and say I'm shopping for real estate and I'm going to be able to write it off. The IRS is smart, folks. They know what your client's trying to do.
So they're not trying to close these deals. They're purposefully not.
Well,
okay. Because I was thinking
that's why the IRS
they're trying to, but they're just not. That's why I went with 100. But the
deal has to close.
Okay.
But even if they're not purposely, like if they're actually trying to close a deal, but then it doesn't come through, the IRS had to draw the line somewhere.
Gotcha.
The line is
0.
Yeah.
Nice.
You have to close on it.
That's why the golden rule of sales is always be consummating. Right? Like, gotta always be doing your stuff.
Question 4, how many time zones does the United States have? You said 6, and well done. Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific, Alaska, and Hawaii.
See, my son used to live in Hawaii, and I know that from Hawaii to the East Coast is 6. So, yeah.
Nice work.
There you go. According to limited research by Tyler, how long is the longest direct flight in the world? You said 12 hours.
It's got to be longer than that, right?
I've been on a 16-hour flight from Johannesburg to Atlanta, but 19 from New York to Singapore is the longest direct flight as of the articles I could find right now.
Oh my gosh.
I can't imagine how stir crazy I would be after.
Well, and I'm thinking, how did they don't refuel mid-flight? How do they have? Oh my gosh, the fuel.
No, I mean, when I did Johannesburg to Atlanta, they had a little like disclaimer that like if they hit enough winds, they actually might stop on that western tip of Africa and refuel and then keep going.
Okay.
Like they let you know that's a possibility during your flight. Yeah. So next question. Give me any dollar amount within the range of the per diem meal rate for 2024. You said 56. And you know what? I'm feeling generous because you were so close. It's 59 to 79. Like you were right in there. And the reason this is important for travel, which Kirstin, you and I went back and forth of this a while ago, looking into this. But the GSA, they set the rates for what are reimbursable per diem meal rates. Now, a lot of our clients, they'll just submit their receipts and take actual meal rates and then get 50% deduction. But if you're traveling for business, you can take the per diem rate, which in some cities is up to $79 per day, as your expense. You don't have to submit receipts. You don't have to submit anything. So if you go to maybe Einstein's for a $5 bagel, you get lunch at McDonald's and dinner for $10 and you only spent $20, your client instead could put that on a personal card and take the $79 per diem rate from their business. Like, this is free money to get out if we can help advise our clients. But Kirstin, as you appointed earlier in the accountable plan, they got to have documentation of where they were.
Substantiate it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does this have to be blanketly one way or the other?
No. So you could travel on Monday and Tuesday. You could use the per diem rates, and then you take your entire team out to dinner for an $800 meal. Use actuals on Wednesday. Now, it has to be all of Wednesday, but then back to Thursday, you're doing per diem rates. But you need documentation to show all of this. How many of our clients give us the documentation they need to actually track this?
Right.
Yeah, and you would just need a simple like Excel log, right, of it, like where I went, where it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Easy money, man. Easy money.
I know. All right. Next question. As of October 1st, global entry is going up from $100 to $120. However, fee for kids is going down to what number? The correct answer, Kirstin, is $0. So kids used to have to pay.
What's global entry? I don't even know what that is.
So, you know, TSA pre-check for domestic flights?
Oh.
For international, for all that stuff. And so global entry, here's the beauty, is you all used to have to pay the $100 per family member. Now, as long as they're a dependent, you do not have to pay the fee for the kids. It is a free application as long as their guardian is a member, is already in the program. Like, this is cost saving for families. Cool stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, completely.
So, yeah, get your application in after October 1st, everyone, if you got kids. 3 more questions, Kirstin. How many gondoliers pilot a traditional Venetian gondola? You said 1. And for our listener, you'd be like, Tyler, why are you going off the rails? But Kirstin, if I'm not mistaken, your first client you ever brought on runs a gondola business in Texas and California. Talk to me, like, how did you get into this space of travel and tourism? And talk me through that journey of getting your first client.
Yeah, they were my first client, and I have known the owner. Oh goodness, at that point it had been about 20 years. We were in some online groups together, and I saw on Facebook that she was looking for a new bookkeeper, and I reached out and I said, "Hey, have you ever looked at outsourcing to a different company?" And she said, "Oh, let's talk about that." And so that is how I got my first client. The whole yakety yak thing, it works. And yeah, they do. They've got a Venetian gondola business in California and Texas. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful.
And been there, but they do a bang up job.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah, we all rode on those in Dallas. That was wonderful.
Yeah. Fantastic.
All right, 2 more questions. You can write off what percentage of your spouse's travel on a business trip. Kirstin, you said 0. Well done. And so many clients, they think, oh yeah, I'm just going to put it all on the company cards. Man, when you get audited, the IRS is going to catch that one quick.
Yep.
Not hard to find. And when you say, oh, well, they help with the business, they're going to say, okay, where's their paycheck? If this is an S Corp, show me where they get paid. Nope, they don't get paid. Okay, we're disallowing all their travel. Last question. If I plan a trip to Colorado where I travel on Thursday, meet with a client on Friday, hang out with my own family on Saturday and Sunday, then on Monday, meet with a new client, and then go home on Tuesday, how many days do I get to deduct? I would have accepted 5 or 6, and you hit 5.5. Man, you split the difference, because there are differing opinions out there on what you can do. But the logic is that if you are required to be in town on Friday and Monday for business purposes, you get to also expense the weekend that holds you hostage in that city. And so if you plan a business trip right, you can get those days covered, plus travel days are covered. But then there's also the thing of like how much of the day you're gone. So Kirstin's getting into decimals here. Kirstin, well done. Anything to add on that?
Well, like when it comes to per diem, because I was thinking per diem on the days of travel, you can only count, I think it's 3/4 of the per diem for those days. So then I was like, what's 3/4 times 2? That's half. Anyway, 1.5. Yeah. That's where I went.
I mean, You named it well, but the moral of the story, everyone, if you can plan your business travel right, maybe you want to take a vacation to Texas and you've got a client that's in Dallas running a gondola business. Plan to meet with them on Friday, meet with another vendor on Monday, and you also get to enjoy the weekend while taking some deductions. Go team, go. Kirstin, well done. 7 out of 10. A little bit too knowledgeable for our taste. Like, that's a passing grade in school. That's not where we live, but thank you for making us credible for a day.
Yay.
All right. Jeremy, you know what time it is.
All right. So that means we are time here for our winner of the week. And this week I got the winner as Forwardly. So I've not used this one before. However, they just got CPA Practice Advisors 2024 Innovation Award winner for their business-to-business real-time payment solution that is domestic here in the USA. And some of the cool things, again, I've never used this before. I don't know if you guys have, but they have like instant payment transfers, especially if they like both clients are using Forwardly, right? Like it's instantaneous, and I believe there's no cost for that side of things. But then other things with, again, can have instant money transfer, but at only 1%, capped at 10, pretty reasonable overall in the world right now for payment fees. So yeah, just got a nice award from CPA Practice Advisors, so may have to check them out.
I've heard a couple people testing them out in the wake of everyone getting angry at Intuit raising their rates.
Yeah.
And Forwardly's getting a lot of love. The people I see don't loving it is they just don't love how their process are, right? People are like, well, I used to do it this way, and Forwardly does it different. It's like, well, yeah, that's true with every platform. So give them a look, because I've heard a lot of people be intrigued as that is an option to replace their Intuit payment processor. Jeremy, what about loser of the week?
Yeah, loser this week. I think it was easy for me. So I know I do a little investing and watch the market, but you been watching what's going on at Boeing?
I've not.
Oh, their union just went on strike, and they're estimated to have lost $572 million in just the first week that they have not been working. I have a now segment to add on to this, just so I think about it. But yeah, they had a deal that was proposed by the organization to the union. And just listen to this, because I love your take on this. That was an immediate 11% pay hike, and then cost of living increases that could be even higher, additional contributions to their 401k, lower portion of health insurance getting posted to the employees, and raises of at least 25% over the life of the 4-year deal. And they rejected that, saying it wasn't enough for them.
Wait, the union rejected it?
Union rejected it overall. Like they voted against it. Now I have mixed thoughts on unions. I think in some cases they are very beneficial. It gives the workers a voice and a chance to negotiate better pay and better all the things with large corporations. But I also know, like, I've had friends that work for unions and be like, this is the laziest piece of crap that I've ever worked with in my life. And because they're unionized, like that person can continue to get all the things and file grievances and whatnot. So I don't know. What do you guys take on this?
I mean, it's not like we need any more disruption in the airline industry.
Right?
I mean, that was really generous. I mean, all the things.
Yeah.
What was
I don't know enough to be educated. I don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to either. And like, again, if you love unions, you hate them, kind of like politics with us. We're kind of pretty middle of the road here. But what you don't know, and I've had this conversation with some of my nonprofit clients that we're budgeting for right now, is like they had to limit the amount of increases that were being done during the pandemic. So you don't know if this is like a catch up from where they were before, and we're kind of due this, that they were put on hold because the airline industry was such disarray there for a while during the pandemic. But yeah, I don't know. Like on the surface, it feels pretty nice or pretty reasonable. But I don't have the context here either. But speaking of, there's a whole lot of things going on in the government right now around a government shutdown potentially happening. Kirstin, I know that hits you hard to home. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, because for listeners, my husband works for the government. We have been through shutdowns and furloughs and no paycheck for a couple, weeks, months, whatever. It gets so old. And sometimes I'm just, I could rant, but yeah. People need to, they just need to get their heads out of their asses and, yeah.
And this is what I like to be able to make this it's human related, right? Like we hear this, us people who don't work in the government, and that like, oh, these parties are fighting and don't give up on this, and we should be passionate about that. But there are people out there that have that either themselves or family members working for the government that just like you do rely on that paycheck. So like honestly, figure it out, politicians, for the Lord.
Well, because their paychecks aren't being put on hold.
Yeah. Right.
You know, it's, we're going to furlough everybody except these people. Or like,
The Senate.
you know, like my husband at one point in time, there were times when he was furloughed and he didn't get paid for a while. They do usually catch us back up, but still it's, you know, in the meantime. But then there are times when he has still had to go to work for no paycheck. And that really sucks.
That burns. Yeah. Well, hope everything gets taken care of there.
Well, real quick, because I know we got to wrap this one up, but we got a couple more backhanded reviews this week. So 5-star backhanded review. First, we got one from Tater Chip on Podchaser. It is 5 stars, unbearable yet unforgettable. 5-star review for having a unique ability to blend into the background. Thank you, Tater Chip. We also got one from Just Go to 8 on Apple Podcasts saying 5 stars. Out of all the OK Accounting game show podcasts out there, this is without a doubt one of them.
Nice. I love both of them.
Kirstin, thank you so much for sacrificing an hour of your week that you will never get back and regret for the rest of your life. Any parting words both our listeners should know about you?
About me?
Or what you got going on?
What do I have going on? This is the whole thing, but I'm developing a course and it's in process, but it's for bookkeepers to learn about tax info. So stay tuned.
Awesome. And where can they find out more?
In theory, taxprosbff.com, but I'm currently still working on the website. So keep checking back.
Yeah. Everyone go flood it and make sure it crashes tomorrow. Love this.
And once that's ready, we'll bring you back on, Kirstin, because we'd love to hear all about it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, Kirstin, thank you for joining the show. Jeremy, until next week, man, I think we just got guests back to back to back, so this is going to be fun.
Yay.
Love it.